quick review of my Tuff rooftop tent. I've had this for just over a year. I got it when I first moved to Washington, and it's been awesome. I can't tell you how much of a difference this is between ground tent camping and being able to sleep off the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and set it up for you. I know you may have seen this in another video, but I want to point out some things once it's set up, so I'll do a quick time lapse of me setting up this tent. It's pretty quick and easy. Cool. At this point, I want to point out you'd be good to go to sleep in it. It's now rainproof. You don't have to put the windows up in order for the tent to be rainproof. So in that amount of time, I'd say about a minute and a half, and I was going back and forth quite a few times. I've got a tent that's off the ground, ready to go out in the rain. That are key things that are different from this rooftop tent, maybe some other ones. First of all is the price. This one was one of the cheaper rooftop tents that are out there. I know a company called, I think, Tepui. There's a Cascade, there's a bunch of different companies that make these tents. This one was, I think, $900, and it's the double wide. It's got the extension on the end, which is what I really wanted, and I can't tell you how glad I am I went for that. That is super nice if there's bad weather or rainy, or even if it's you just want to keep some heat in the tent. Opening that is gonna, or keeping that awning on there has helped a ton. Another thing is this hinge right here. This hinge was really interesting. You'll notice I didn't point out when it was closed up, but the tent is much narrower at the side that is clamshelled over here than it is on this side. This side is much narrower. That's because I have a lot of bedding and stuff, and I'm going to show you that's up in the tent that prevents it from getting all the way as closed as this side. If I were to make one modification or one little suggestion to Tuff Stuff, is to make that hinge about 3 inches taller. So when that thing shuts, that this side is the same thickness as this side. It would also allow more room for you to fit that extra pillow. I'll show you what I can hold up there right now. Up here inside the tent, right now I've just set it up. I opened up that back window so there's a little more light in here. So once you step up in, it's not too bad. You just undo these bungees right here that go across that allow the tent to collapse properly once it's shut. I'm sure if you're researching these, you've seen plenty of these before. They're all the same. So this is the hinge I was talking about right here. This hinge right here, if this hinge was a little bit taller, I think I might actually fabricate my own hinge and make it so that I can support a bigger mattress, which is the other thing I wanted to bring up. Wow, this is far superior to sleeping on one of those little air inflatable things you get in your backpacking tents that you take on your backpacking trips. It is still only this thick. That is not as nice as the mattress I have upstairs. What I'd love to do is be able to take and upgrade this mattress and just put a simple eggshell type of foam under it to give us that extra lift. That'll provide two things. One, a nice air barrier between us and the bottom, which will prevent moisture from building up below, which I haven't had a big problem with, but it would be nice to have that sense of security. And two, that little extra bit of bedding. So I know I said I'd tell you how much I could keep up here. One of the biggest pluses of this rooftop tent is I can keep all my bedding up here permanently. So what I've got is a sheet that goes on the bottom right here. I just simply pull that out, and I've got some bungees that I put across the bottom to keep it nice and tight. And then I've got to use this as my top cover. If it's really cold or I'm going out where it's going to be really extra cold that night, then I take an extra blanket just to try and keep me warm. Other than that, it's been great. I haven't had any problems with moisture. This is the appropriate way for this little netting thing to go. Took a while to get that figured out, as well as this right here. Anyway, there's some straps right at the base of this. There's 2 extra ones, you'll notice. I couldn't figure out what those are for, but I realized those are actually so you can bundle up the cover to keep it off the ground if it's muddy at all. So when you pull the cover off, you can roll it up and then use those 2 straps coming out of where the rooftop tent actually opens to keep it up and out of the way. That's pretty much it. It's been a really good tent, like I said. Can't tell you how much of a difference it makes being able to not have to sleep on the ground. The biggest challenge now is finding a level place to park, but what I've found the easiest thing to do is usually we go camping in places that have lots of dead wood, so I throw a chainsaw in the back of my truck and then I just cut a couple logs up and drive up on those logs to give me level. That seems to work pretty well. Another key feature is we were camping last winter and early spring, and it was really cold out, so I ended up taking a propane tank and I put a full 35-pound propane tank in the bottom of my truck, and then I was able to run that propane line up into here, up in this little crease right here, up into the tent, and then that powered my propane heater that kept us warm all night long, and I've super convenient, super nice. Highly recommend that if you're going to do any kind of wintertime camping. Never had a problem with waterproofness. I've put it away wet a couple times and you can tell there's a couple little mold spots starting to come right here. I'm going to use a little bit of cleaner to get that off. Make sure you let it dry out. Just like any tent, if it gets wet, you got to keep it, let it dry out. So I have a Chevy Colorado mid-size truck, and it fits perfectly. I can't tell you how nice it is to have it at the top of the bed and fit on the back of the bed of the truck without any problems. What I did for mounting was I got some 1-inch tube steel, painted it black with a real quick paint job, spray can job, and then I mounted it to the bed rails here on my truck, and that is perfect. I originally had aluminum 1.5-inch tubing, not strong enough. I had it break on a big road trip that I went on, and it ended up cracking and being really uncomfortable and all these terrible things. So go with steel, that way the vibrations don't mess it up and end up fatiguing the aluminum to the breaking point. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, let me know. One thing I want to note before I go is obviously if you've got it on a pickup that's not mounted above, you're going to lose the use of that last window. When I say lose the use of it, I mean that you're not going to be able to put the rainfly part up. I suppose you could somehow figure out a way to kind of spring it out and use bungees to pull it out of the way and then open that other window if it gets really hot. But I've never bothered with it. I've always had just trying to keep warm more than it's being too hot in the tent. Like I said, it works really well. Really happy with it. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'll do my best to answer them.